up unless I'm paying. Have a drink on me, cheers to the feeling. Oh, you don't love me, you don't love me, you don't love me, you don't love me, but that's okay. Cause I love me, I love me, I love me, I love myself anyway. Hey, everything's gonna be alright, everything's gonna be okay. It's gonna be a good, good life. That's what my therapists say. Everything's gonna be alright.
Hello? Good evening, everyone, professionals, friends, attendees. My name is Sudhasini and I'm CUTAM's co-president along with my co-president Praveen. Before we start, we want to introduce our whole team. So first off, we got Mother Internal. We have Pratiksha, our VP External. Abhilash, our VP Events. Dilakshan, our VP Finance. Preeti, our social media coordinator. And we have Virjani, our VP Marketing, who's not here yet. So it is an immense pleasure and honor to have you all with us, and we welcome you all tonight to our second annual Singappenney happening here at Concordia University. We are particularly thrilled to announce a new dimension to our event this year by starting with a live panel style discussion covered by our social media partners, Montamil, thank you Montamil, where our professional will answer questions asked by us to share their insights, experience, and valuable wisdom across diverse fields. Today, on this special day of International Women's Day, we're gathered not only to celebrate the remarkable achievement of Tamil women professionals across different fields, but also to inspire, empower, forge new paths for the future generation. From masters to entrepreneurship, from healthcare to engineering, from business to policy, we will see that each panelist will be bringing a unique experience and perspective in their departments.
You might be wondering why we call this event Singappenney. It means strength, resilience, and determination found in every woman professional. CUTAM wanted to acknowledge, appreciate, and bring awareness to all women professionals in our community and to the next generation moving forward. We want to break the barriers, challenges, stereotypes, and reach new heights to be successful in their field of expertise. So firstly, I want to introduce the plan for today. We'll be having a panel-style questions, which our executive members will be asking the professionals questions. Right after that, we will have a 15-minute break for food, which we have Poulet Rouge, which was sponsored to us. So thank you, Poulet Rouge. And right after that, we'll be having a sit-down style session where anyone could go ask your professional questions and grow your expertise and just get tips and tricks for your future. So I'll be passing it to Sugasi so she can introduce the first department.
So without further ado, let's meet our first department, which is our master department. We have Nilani, Madangi, and Tarshi. Please come to the front.
Oh, no, it's good now. Oh, okay. Yeah. We have to start with that. Yeah. Or stand wherever you want. That's red. Hello, Tashi.
Hey.
Hi, Tashi. Hi, Madagi, and hello, Nilani. Thank you again for joining us today. So can you please introduce yourself, what's the program you studied in, and the program you're studying right now?
So my name is Tashi Tandayatan. I have a bachelor's in environmental sciences, graduated in December 2020 at Concordia, and I'm currently doing my master's in environmental engineering at Concordia as well.
Hi, my name is Madangi. I did my undergrad in biochemistry at Concordia, and now I'm doing my Master's of Business Administration at Concordia as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Nilani. I did nursing at McGill University, graduated in 2016, and now I'm doing healthcare management at Université de Montréal.
So a question that a lot of people are wondering right now. So why did you decide to do your master's, and was it in your field?
I'll start off. So I graduated in 2020 with the Bachelor's in Environmental Sciences at Concordia. So it was right in the middle of COVID. So I applied out of province, out of country, trying to find a job while everyone was getting laid off. So it was really hard for me. So what I did is a friend of mine posted on Instagram saying like, we're looking for volunteers to work at the Dépannage Alimentaire, the food bank, at a nonprofit in Saint Laurent that helps integrate immigrant women in Quebec society. So it's very close to my heart. So I started off there as a volunteer, and the communication agent position opened up. So it's not my field, but it's something that I really care about. So I went in there, and then I became the coordinator in project management, where I hosted conferences, events, and managed a couple projects that helps integrate immigrant women in Quebec society. So that means like finding a job and giving them pep talk, and encouraging them to do more and pursue their dreams. And a lot of time, women, we need to go back, we need to be in STEM and stuff like that. So that honestly inspired me to actually go back to school and really pursue my dreams to work in the environmental field. So I quit that in January, and I applied to Master of Environmental Engineering at Concordia, and then I got in, and right now I'm doing an internship in my field. I'm really happy. So the reason why I'm doing my my master is to get back into the field that I started out with, and not to let that dream go. So yeah.
So I graduated from biochemistry, and I started working in a lab in a nutraceutical industry. And I was working in that lab, and I realized I like the science behind it, but I realized I'm a very clumsy person, and I can't be working in a lab forever. There was way too many on many of my clothes. It was just not going. I'm like, this can't be me, but I like the science. I like the science behind what I was doing. So I'm like, it's the right field, but not the right position for me. Eventually, I switched companies, and now I work as a scientific reviewer at a pharmaceutical contract research organization. So I kind of make quotations and contracts for clients in discussion with the business development and the scientists. So I design the scope of work, the budget, and every nitty-gritty details and assumptions that needs to be in place, so the client and scientists are all protected. And that's when I realized I like the pharmaceutical environment. I like what I'm doing, but I don't like the particular science field of it. I want to be in touch with the science, but more on the business side, more on the project management side. That's how I started my master's in business administration. So I've been doing my MBA for a year now, part-time, while working full-time, and I've been really enjoying it. It's been giving me a lot of insights in terms of good management styles, or even businesses, or how to deal with coworkers, how to negotiate, a lot of real life examples, and it's been really helping me on my day-to-day work life.
In my case, I knew that I was going to go back to school. Knowing me, I would go back to school, do a master's degree. But first, I wanted to get the hands-on experience. So what I did was I wanted to work minimum 2 years. So I did that, and then I was asking around my coworkers who at the time were doing different master's degree. The one that I was interested in was healthcare management. I realized that I like working with the team. Problem solving is one thing that I actually enjoyed. It's going to sound ambitious, but I do wanted to improve healthcare services that are offered, especially for people like indigenous communities and new immigrants. And then, so I applied to that, which falls into public health department. So it is not a nursing degree, but it includes nursing in a sense where nursing falls into the public health, because we're talking about healthcare services in general. So it's a little bit different, but you do have the hands-on experience, so it's easier for you to understand than just going straight out of school and then doing it without realizing what it is in real life, how it is on the real field.
So as a follow-up question, hello. as a follow-up question, so what's the benefit of doing a master's degree instead of going to the workforce right away after an undergraduate degree?
The benefit for me is really to go back in the environmental field. So because of COVID, I wasn't able to find a job in the environmental field. So going back to school opened up a lot of doors, and I have a Bachelor of Sciences, and now I'm doing a Master in Engineering. So for me, it opens up in doors in the science field as well as engineering field. And the reason why I went from science to engineering is because I took a couple of different courses like coding, laboratory environments, and engineering, and I really liked the engineering aspect. So that's why I went to environmental engineering. And another benefit is it's very more specific when you do a master's, whether it's thesis or course based, and more money in this economy. And it really helps you advance in your career a little early on. So yeah.
I went back to do my master's because even though I like my sciences, I was like, let me do my MBA and see what doors it opens. Maybe I'm not in the right field. I wanted to hop around jobs, and I had a possibility of ideas in my head. I'm like, let me explore what's out there. And as I was doing my MBA, looking at other job opportunities, I realized I do want to stay in the sciences. But doing my MBA really helped me. Coming from a science background, I had no real business side knowledge of industry, the management side knowledge, all of that pieces were missing, which are all key essential pieces if you want to kind of move up in the corporate ladder. So that was my benefit for doing my MBA.
As I was saying, I'm doing a different degree. So with nursing, you can go up the ladder. You can do it with experience. For sure, that's going to take a little bit more time. You need the hands-on experience. You need the time, experience, and sometimes even luck, because it goes through seniority oftentimes. But you can have a nursing management degree, and if you want to stay into nursing, where in person, if you do have the experience, you can go up the ladder. It takes a couple more years. Where you do a master's, if full-time school is 2 years, so you would get to your position after 2 years. I'm doing healthcare management, which the reason why I chose healthcare management, it opens me more doors where I can work at any healthcare setting. So I can work in like a pharmaceutical company, hospitals, or even like the health ministry, like at the government's department. Whereas nursing degree would have restricted me to stay in a nursing field, in a hospital, nursing unit, or a clinic.
Can I add something? So what was I gonna say? Yeah, if you want to apply for a master, go for it. Like, don't look at the acceptance rate, 60%, 20%, 30%, that doesn't matter. If you want to do it, do it. One advice I would say is write a good letter of intention. That really puts you, like, if you have a good letter of intention, like your passion and the reason why you want to do this really goes through. For example, I don't have the best grades, but I really think the letter of intention God needs to be accepted in the program. So yeah, like, don't be scared. Don't think of like, I might not get in. It's okay. You apply, you don't get in, you try again next year. You go and get a real life experience and apply and do it. And the second thing I would like to say is talk about your dreams to everyone around you. Like, you don't know who knows who. So yeah, talk to everyone, your friends, your neighbor, your aunts, your friend's friend. When you're chilling, just be like, hey, I'm thinking of changing careers. I'm thinking of getting promoted here. I want to work in this field. Talk to everyone, because you don't know who knows who. And yeah, your network will help you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you, all three of you, for coming tonight and talking about your own life, what happened and where you went in each field that you chose to do your master degrees. Honestly, I hope that the public here is inspired to do their master degrees, or there's some people who are still in their work field wondering if they should be doing their masters. And honestly, the tip that you just gave might be opening a door for someone here watching us. Thank you.
So next up, we'll have Mother representing the engineering department. So we have, within our names.
Okay. Okay. So I'm thrilled to introduce a powerhouse group of women engineers. These remarkable individuals have conquered challenges, broken barriers, and are reshaping our world for tomorrow. So now I'm going to just ask you guys to introduce yourself and kind of say what's your names and your professions, and then I'll go on with the question.
Hi everyone, my name is Melanie and I just graduated in aerospace engineering.
Hi everyone, I'm Arapi. I graduated from mechanical engineering in 2019 from Concordia, and I'm working as a mechanical engineer right now at a company, BBA. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Arutra. I'm a civil engineering. I graduated in 2022, and I've been working in civil engineering as a project manager for 2 years now.
Hi everyone, my name's Suganya. I did my undergrad at McGill in electrical engineering with a minor in biomed. Currently I work as a senior system designer in robotic surgery and orthopedic space.
So first of all, how did your undergrad studies prepare you for your practical engineering work, your real life experience, work experience, anything?
Honestly, first of all, I think that's a great question for every engineering student. They're probably wondering if whatever they're learning is useful to their career. Although there's derivations and all those equations might not be as useful, I believe that engineering offers you a mindset to think more, like have a more analytical mindset. And that's what brings you further and sets you aside, I guess. And it also develops your skills in communication, leadership, and team building. And yeah.
I think undergraduate studies help to work in communication skills as well, and work in a team, and also be good in analytical skills, as Melanie explained. And also it helps you think outside of the box in technicality as well.
To be honest, even though I did my degree in civil engineering, I did structures, whereas I work in project management. So not much of it is relevant to what I do on the field now, but I would say that knowing the basics and fundamentals of structures and just science in general helps you a lot in putting pieces together. As Melanie explained, it's about problem solving and thinking outside the box that helps you solve problems on the field.
Everything they said. But I don't use anything that I learned in school. It's really the thinking outside the box and all that, soft skills, so communication, how to work in teams, because engineering is a lot about team assignments, team projects and all, but it's really that skill to like adapt. Like I've worked in oil and gas, mining, chemical, and now I'm in biomed. And I feel like a lot of engineering students do their MBA later on, go into business. So it's the fact of being able to go into a situation, quickly adapt yourself, learn, and then like apply that to your job. And I think that's what like 4 or 5 years of engineering really teaches you, more than the actual, like McGill was a very theoretical school, so I don't use much of that. But really it's all the soft skills that you learn that'll really help you along in your engineering career.
Thank you so much for that. But to jump off of that question a little bit, if there's something that you think that every engineering student must know, or just like one thing that they must retain before graduating, what would it be? What would you kind of say?
I think for me, from my experience, I think every engineering student should either join an association or get valuable experience. And I believe that like experience is much more valuable than getting the perfect grade or perfect score. I gained more from my internships and all that. I gained more experience in quality, and that's how I landed the job that I have right now. And yeah, so get the experience. Don't really aim for that perfect grade, and yeah, join societies.
I also think that experience is very valuable when graduating, and being in the engineering field. And another thing that I think that's important is also networking and connections when you're going for social events or even in your job field, because a lot of workers in the engineering field now are mainly getting jobs through references, from what I know.
To bounce off of what Arabi just said, my thing would be oriented towards networking. I feel like as a STEM student, especially in engineering, we're not so much oriented towards networking as business students are. In my time, well, a few years ago, we didn't really have opportunities to network within our department. And so because of that, I kind of got into the workforce and I didn't really know anyone. And the ways that I went about things was mainly through references, as she said. The thing about networking is that it helps you not only get a job, but also maintain a job. When you know people in the field, it helps you learn through their experiences that you've shared with them. A lot of times as a civil engineer, I kind of have to work with electrical engineers and mechanical engineers, and I know close to nothing about those fields, but just based on experiences that I've shared with the people that I've connected with, it helped me problem solve a lot of situations. And when my boss thinks that I came up with the solution, well, not really. It's because of my connections, and it's a teamwork. And so if you have to start networking, start now, because once you graduate, it's much harder to meet people that aren't in your field. So I would say start now. This is the best time, and you never know what route you're going to take in your field. So even if you start in civil engineering, maybe you might end up in industrial engineering. So don't just stick to your department. Just network and keep growing by meeting people.
So yes, do your internships if you're still a student, but also other than networking, it teaches you what you like and what you don't like. So engineering is very vast. You can work in a lab, you can work with clients, you can work mainly on just research. And if you don't do internships, you kind of graduate thinking, oh, this sounds like an ideal job, this is what I want to do, and then you get yourself into a career you don't like, and then career pivots are not as easy as it used to be. So doing internships might delay graduation, but explain to your parents that it's okay, it's helping you get your dream job. Also, if you're graduating engineering, remind yourself to be open to different opportunities. I feel like everyone graduates and right away they're like, oh, I'm going to become a senior engineer within 1 year, and then I'm going to become a manager, and then a director and VP, and that's it. Your career is 45 years. That's longer than how long you've been alive. So don't become a VP. Some people do it. I have friends who graduated with me who are now VP levels, which is great. It works for them. But I feel like becoming a technical asset is so valuable. Spend the first part of your career spending a lot of time getting good at what you do, because then you can go straight into management. But the fact that you have all that technical knowledge within yourself is such a valuable asset that not a lot of people talk about. And then when you get I used to want to only be in management. I did my GDBA at JMSB, so that's a mini MBA, but without the GMAT. And then I decided I want to stay in tech, and now I'm senior in a tech field, which if you told me that when I was graduating in 2015, I would have been like, no way am I coding or working in that software space, but that's what I do every day and I love it. So be open to it, and I think engineering opens a lot of doors. Like you said before, you start off in civil, you can end up in industrial, and I think that's the cool part of engineering, and people know when they see that on your CV that you're open and you're able to adapt. So it all goes back into that. So stay open and just remind yourself to stay a learner your whole career, and then become a VP when you're 50.
Thank you so much for all your answers. And then I have one question. So engineering from the surface outside can be a scary looking field. I don't know if it's true or not. But as a woman, or even a Tamil woman, have you guys faced any obstacles, or do you guys have any experience with having to overcome any barriers?
So another reason why I think internships are very valuable is you get to get an idea of how your environment is. For me, unfortunately, because aerospace is very male dominated, I've gone internships or environments where I would be given more of the soft work, doing PowerPoint presentations, documentations, all that fun stuff, where my peers would be getting all like the testing and all the stuff that you really want to work on. But that kind of gives you an idea, and it builds you up. You get more stronger. You get you speak up on what you're entitled to, and yeah. So I think it comes with the job. It comes with engineering. It comes within the aerospace field. But yeah.
In the mechanical engineering field, it's also male dominant, and I'm working in mechanical. I've worked in aerospace and currently working in the mining specialization as well. So I work with chemicals and big equipment. So the question related to being a woman, I've got lots of comments of why I'm actually working in that field, and it's just you have to show them that you have the talent, and it's not being a man or woman that matters to work in any field.
So as I work in project management in the construction industry, I do face a lot of comments and uncomfortable situations. But in the 2 years that I've worked, just in 2 years, I've seen such a big change in how people used to be and how it is now. So I would say that the industry is changing. And because I'm in project management in construction, I have two very different realities. One's on the field and one's in the office experience. So when I go on the field, obviously I get more comments coming from labor workers that are more with traditional mindsets and have very limited education. So it is uncomfortable. But the way that I navigate it, which has proven to work most of the time, is if you give people respect, they will feel bad if they don't give you back respect. So there are ways to manage it, and it is manageable, and it's not fun, but you become more resilient and you become so much more confident as a woman when you stick up to who you are and kind of show them that, yeah, you're going to do what I tell you to do. So that kind of is a baller move, but you become confident. And on the other opposite side, in the office, it's like the complete opposite. Company leaders are actually very much oriented towards making women thrive. And so because of that, it kind of translates into managers and your employers being super, super, super supportive, to the point that like they actually don't need to take that extra step, but a lot of them do. And in both companies that I've worked with, I've been so fortunate to have extremely supportive managers, and it kind of makes up for all the uncomfortable scenarios that you have to deal with. To conclude, I would say that like it is unfortunate, but the industry is growing so fast that the exposure to more women in the field actually helps navigate these situations.
Bouncing off of what you said about managers, I had a manager at my old job who kind of blocked every opportunity I got, and his reasoning, which he only expressed in our one-on-ones, but when I mentioned it to upper management, they're like, oh, there's no way he said that directly, but he would be like, well, you know, you're young, you're married, you're gonna have a baby soon, you're gonna leave on mat leave, like, why start something new? Like, why don't you leave that for someone else? And that kind of obviously was like, are you allowed to say that? But I think what I really want to point out is that managers can make or break you, like in your career, no matter what industry you're in. And it's really worth switching jobs, teams, or companies if you don't have a manager that's advocating for your growth and for yourself. Versus, you know, when I got pregnant on my current job, I told my manager like right away, very early. And because I had just gotten a project to lead and I was a bit worried, like, I'm going to leave in 9 months. Like, what is does she still want to keep it with me? And her first response was, you know what, you're keeping your project and then we'll figure out who we're going to hand it to, like, when it's in 9 months. We'll figure it when we cross that bridge later on. So those are the type of people, especially as women, that you want to advocate for yourself. And I feel like what I struggle with now is now I'm in more of a leadership role as product owner for our team. And, you know, you're in teams. Now it's normal to be the only woman in meetings and you're like, okay, cool, I'm the only one dressed up here. And what I struggle with is in meetings, you'll have men who either don't listen when you're talking, so 2 minutes later they will repeat exactly what you said, paraphrased. And at some point, you're like, that's exactly what I said 2 minutes ago. And they laugh it off. And especially when it's in like bigger important meetings with product managers, marketing, it's a bit tough to kind of put your voice there and stand your ground, especially when it's people that have worked there, older men that have worked there very long, who are also very experienced. So I think it really builds your confidence, and you're able to like talk back and be independent and show that through your job. And I think the industry is changing. In biomed, there's a lot more women than in electrical, for example. So I think the field is changing, but there's still a lot more growth to go.
Thank you so much for your answers and sharing your experiences with us. We really appreciate it.
I'm sure Mother enjoyed asking these questions, as she's also an engineer to be a student. And so I'm sure she enjoyed asking these questions. But honestly, very inspiring, and it's really nice to see more women in the engineering field. So next up, I want to ask the Business and Commerce Department to please come up. It would be Bitusha and Selmia. And honestly, I want to ask these questions because I'm also in the business field, so it's nice to ask the questions directly. And we typically hear like brown households telling us to go into sciences, and so it's nice to see like brown people in business and commerce fields as well. So firstly, I'm going to ask if you guys can introduce yourselves, your names, what field you're in, and what field you studied in.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So before we begin, I want to give a huge shout out to CUTAM for organizing this beautiful event. So a round of applause. So my name is Bidu. I'm currently, I studied in this building 6 years ago. I graduated in Bachelor of Commerce, major in accounting. I'm currently working, I specialize in the retail sector, so my last 6 years I've been in retail. The beginning of my career, 2 years, I was in accounting. I realized quickly that was not the path I wanted to pursue my career in, so I quickly shifted into finance, and it's probably one of the best decisions I made. So that's my full-time job. Part-time job, I'm a part-time makeup artist, so I'm the face behind Beautified Beauty. And I work 7 days a week, but I love what I do, so I can't complain.
Hi everyone, I'm Samya. So I graduated from JMSB in Concordia 2022, and currently I'm doing my CPA program, which is I'm doing the 2-year program, and I'm supposed to be done this year with it. And I'm currently working in audit. So I work at an audit firm called Richter.
Thank you for introducing yourselves. So firstly, I want to ask a question. So we want to know why it is beneficial to do doing co-op or getting an internship compared to finding a job without it.
Okay, so I feel like everybody already touched on this question, but from the business side, I would highly encourage and I want to push everybody to do internships as well as co-op or get into the co-op program. It's super beneficial. It gets your feet wet early on in your career, and it gives you a better idea of where you want to pursue your career. So one thing I want to make clear is you don't have to be in a co-op program to do internships or to benefit from internships. So every company I worked at, we always had interns outside the co-op program. So really if you're not part of co-op, it's okay. Try to get internships. Go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's like the hot spot right now. So go on LinkedIn, go on Indeed, go on other recruitment platforms and really try to get an internship. It gives you, school really prepares you for theoretical knowledge. What it does not prepare you is for practical knowledge, which we're really going to get on the field while you're working. And it actually makes studying a little easier because you can relate it to real life scenarios when you're doing case studies or when you're solving or memorizing theories, you're able to relate it to the real life scenarios. So I would highly recommend doing internships or applying for internships or co-op because you definitely have a benefit and advantage in your career.
I personally did the co-op, and personally what I would say, as she said, you don't need to do co-op to get internship, especially JMSB, either marketing, finance, accounting, every field, they have their own association, and they provide so many programs, and they provide so many events I can go to where they do job recruitment. That's really a good part with JMSB that you can go with, where you can go to all these event networking, which will be the next topic we'll talk about. But through networking, you can get so many internship and connection through it. So for that, that's good for that. Another thing with co-op is accounting is very broad. There's so many different fields that you can go in, auditing, financial reporting. There's so many different fields that if you do internship, you can get to see what you like and don't like. Because especially starting when you finish your undergrad, you don't know where to start off. And having this experience can help you figure out where you want to take the path. And especially one thing with JMSB, it's like a lot of people, you can get a job before you finish your undergrad. And co-op and internship is a great way to do it, because a lot of the time when you do an internship and they like you, they'll give you an offer to come back. So that's a great way to do co-op and internship, to get this experience and even have it on your CV that, hey, like I have some experience, and it gives you a boost from a lot of other people.
Perfect. So that's honestly, I was like taking notes, a mental note, as I am in co-op as well. So secondly, I wanted to ask, we know that networking is important. We want to know how important it is in the business field, and how is this a skill you would develop? Like how can you develop networking in your field?
Yeah, so as everyone already mentioned, networking is crucial. It's crucial in every industry, especially in business. I remember here at Concordia, I used to attend events alone and like wear this with my last name that's not able to fit on this card, or like little tags here. But it's so important. Honestly, it's not just about networking. Like you have to be prepared. Go in ready to kind of not sell yourself, but really to let people know what you're bringing to the table. So you need to be ready. Have a business card. If you're in business, at least, I know we have business cards. We have a CV. If you're in Quebec, make sure your CV is in French and English. And also have an elevator pitch ready. Like if you're meeting somebody and they're like, oh, you hear them talking, okay, I'm at this firm, that company, you have to be ready, like, hi, to introduce yourself, you know. Don't be shy. I know it's hard. Like I've been there, I've done that, but you have to stick out from the others. And the benefit you have is when you are applying, they're able to put a face to the name. So you're meeting recruiters. If there's really a company that you want to work for, and oh yeah, I remember seeing you at a firm, a recruitment event, they're able to put a face to the name, like, oh yeah, she came, I really liked her, she was herself, she was humble, she really was a strong personality. So it's really beneficial to attend these events. Either alone or with a partner is always great, but if you don't have a partner or a friend to attend it with, go alone, guys. Like, let loose, be yourself, and get ready to meet people.
As she mentioned, even me on my first year, I remember my first year, I didn't understand what was networking, any of that. But I went alone. I started doing this alone. I didn't know anyone else, but honestly, even if you don't have any friend, go for it. They like you when you go stand up and you do it yourself. Usually when you're with someone, it's hard to like give the attention with two people. When you go alone, it's good that they see you and you talk to them. And another thing I would say is practice as well. Like before going at home, practice yourself. Go on a mirror, like practice yourself, your pitch. Like tell me about yourself. Have some stuff ready. Another thing is, one thing I did is have like business cards ready. Like I know for JMSB, there's like some associations, they provide that opportunity for you to do your business cards and like have your photo with it and like have your LinkedIn as well in it. So whenever you meet someone, you can give them your business card and they remember your face. It's very important for them to know who you are, because since I've done the recruitment, but also done the opposite side of it, where I'm the one who's getting all the business card and being the side of like getting to know these people. So it's really important that you put yourself out there, and stepping out your comfort zone is really important, because that's what they look at. And they look at people that actually talk to people. So let's say there's a firm you're going to and there's like 10 reps. It's important that you talk to all 10 reps. I know it can be intimidating, even having small talks. They don't want to know about your career. Sometimes they just really want to know you. They want to know what you like. They want to just get to know you, to know if you're actually like a good fit to the company and if they can work with you. So that's really good. And then, like I said, practicing is really good. Another one is when you talk to them, add them on LinkedIn right away. Add them on LinkedIn, and if you want, like, message them right away to be like, hey, it was a nice chat, and ask them for coffee chat. That's another thing too that they do at business. You can ask them for coffee chat and follow up with them like that. Whenever like you're looking for a job, like you can reach out to them, be like, hey, we saw this date and like we had a talk. Would you be? And I saw that you're recruiting. Are you having a job available? And then you can also ask them, can we have a meeting? You can always book meetings with them. honestly, the more you step out and the more you do it, honestly, it comes with practice. It's not you go and if it doesn't work out the first time, it's okay. You have to do the most you can and just do as much as you can and you get more comfortable with it.
Thank you so much for sharing your valuable experiences. Honestly, I think a lot of people don't understand how valuable networking is, and the more and more we see it in different fields, that's very important. For example, business cards. I never heard that before. In students, I've never heard of students having business card, right? So we're all learning every day, and we're all here to network as well. So thank you once again for sharing your experiences. So next up, we'll have the entrepreneurship department. Where we have Abhilash. I'll be asking the questions.
Thank you, Pravin. So up next, we have the Business and Real Estate Department. And as we celebrate women in business and real estate, we'll be diving into the insights and experiences. So joining us on stage are esteemed experts Yasota, Tusa, and Arusha. So you join us on stage. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. To kick things off, I just want to know, can you just introduce yourselves and also just what you're doing as a realtor and a business owner?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Aru, or Arusha. So I'm a realtor here, a residential real estate broker here in Montreal. And I'm actually a Concordia alumni, so I'm very happy to be back. And I studied human resource management here at JMSB, the lovely JMSB, as other professionals here. And right before I give it off to Tusa, I want to thank CUTAM for inviting me to speak in today's panel.
You guys all made this look so easy. My name is Tusa J. I'm also a real estate broker. I have been about 6 years now.
Hello, my name is Yashoda. Before I start, happy Women's Day for everyone. And thank you for the CUTAM for arranging such a nice event. Thank you very much. And we are running a math school. It's called UC Maths, and I'm in business in 15 years. Thank you.
So embarking on the journey of business and real estate is no small feat, and it requires an immense amount of motivation. So I'd like to start by asking, what motivated you to start your own business as an entrepreneur or as a realtor?
Okay, so for me, I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur at all. I always loved school. I always loved learning. So I thought actually that I was going to go to law school at one point. But what happened was before applying or studying for my LSAT, I decided to go intern because I know how important it is, you have a practical idea of what a career is, but until you go and work in that industry or in an office, you don't really know what the day-to-day is. So I ended up going to Toronto to intern at a real estate law firm, funny enough. And then I decided after interning that actually I didn't want to become a real estate, not a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent now. I didn't want to become a lawyer, and I wanted to actually become a realtor. I'm actually a second, some of you may know because a lot of familiar faces here, I'm actually a second generation real estate agent. My dad's been an agent for about 18 years. So real estate is something that I always it's something me and my dad always had in common, but I never saw it as something as, oh, I'm going to become a realtor. So it was quite a surprise, the journey of entrepreneurship, but I love it. And I love that, there are obstacles, right? Because, it's such a transition to go from you're working, I worked more corporate jobs to being your own entrepreneur, but I love it. And I'm very happy that I took the risk. So that's something I would recommend to students here. If you want to do something, at least try it, because you never know.
So I actually did my bachelor's in accounting here at JMSB, and I was fortunate enough to land a job accidentally as an assistant for a realtor. I had no idea about entrepreneurship, real estate, anything of those sorts. And I just fell in love with her lifestyle, everything that came with it. And I realized it was a lot of things put together, which I enjoy. So people, marketing, creativity, money, entrepreneurship, all of those things put together. And I didn't even work a single day in accounting. I decided to switch path and my diploma is sitting there. And it was the best decision I made, and I'm truly happy. And the reason I made that decision, I don't want to take full credit for it. I had someone in my life that pushed me, and he said one word, which was try it. Try it now when you don't have a lot of, I guess, things pulling you back. And I don't know if I would have done it later on in life. Maybe I would have, but I'm glad I did it when I did it.
So how I find out the business, because I see everyone is a different fields. Same thing, and when I start my career also, I don't know which one I need to choose. And I studied computerized accounting and then business admin, and then I work in the accounting department and then administrations and environment Canada. So I work in different field, but somehow I don't like any of the works, because I still searching what's my passion, but it's saying inside, this is not your passion. So I work in accounting and I don't like the 8 hours job, Monday to Friday, sitting in front of the computer. I noticed that's not my passion, but I don't know what is my passion. I keep searching. And then one day I brought my son to the UC Mass when he is 5 years old. And then, because I like math, so I am very good in math, so my passion is math. So when I see the UC Mass, I like it. So then I become a teacher in Ontario. Then I teach UC Mass in Ontario. Then my husband got a job in Montreal, so we moved. When we moved, there is no UC Mass in Quebec. And I like the UC Mass program because it's a good when we see the children improving, and then you have self-satisfaction. So then I slowly noticed that's my passion, because when I give service to the other people, when the other people happy, then I feel happy. So then I noticed, okay, this is my passion, when to give a service to the other people. Then we opened the UC Mass school in 2010. And then that time there's no UC Mass, so now slowly there's 14 locations in UC Mass, and more than 1,000 children are studying, and we can give employment for more than 150 teachers all over the Montreal schools. Now I find out this is my passion, because I don't want to sit down in one chair and then doing the work. I like to talk with the people and explaining about the program, and so I'm very happy I choose the right path.
Thank you so much. And additionally, balancing work life with personal life is crucial for success and well-being. So I want to ask, how do you manage to balance your work life and your personal life as a woman in the business and real estate business?
That's a really good question. I'm working on it every day. Even working a 9 to 5, right? It's more of a structured schedule, and even that sometimes is quite difficult. So real estate, especially, it's very like maybe this week I'm free next week. You ask me on Monday, no, my week is booked. So it's something I'm constantly working on, because I think it's very important that I'm my best self. Because if only sorry, lost my train of thought, but I have to be my best self to be the best broker for my clients. So that's something I'm constantly working on, to take time for myself. Also, it's always a balancing act for me personally, because my schedule is not structured. It changes constantly. So that's something I'm always working on. The only thing I can say is I'm self-aware, so I'm always trying to manage it. Let's say one week I have a really busy week, I make sure the next week I take more time for myself. So that's how I balance.
Similar. It's a work in progress. I still haven't figured it out. And I don't think I ever will, but it's really about constantly being aware, setting boundaries. Sometimes you won't be able to uphold them, and it's okay. And life changes too. So when I started 6 years ago, my lifestyle wasn't the same, so I was able to invest more in it, and I was aware of it. But as time goes on, lifestyles change, and the structure of my business is changing too, so it's really about adapting. But when you love what you do, you make those changes and sacrifices, and there's pros and cons to everything, so yeah.
So for the life and then work how to manage, because I have 3 kids, and also managing the life and the business is very easy when it's come to the business, because business we have own time. So whatever time we can put, then we can put. So if it's not like a compulsory, you have to go Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 job. And most of the admin work we can do from work from home, and then only evenings and Saturday, Sunday, the classes. And also the business is I'm doing the education business, so I can bring my own kids. And they can also work there, and they also passion with because they grow with the UC Mass, so they know when the others are happy, then we also feel happy. So the whole family, we go together, and then we don't see the difference. It's work and the families everywhere. Is the whole family is there. So. And also, I'm happy like I can give a business for the other people, because we open new franchisees, and then the other new people also get an opportunity to give a service for the other community. And then when the children improve, then we feel so blessed. Thank you.
Thank you once again for coming and sharing your knowledge and expertise. And we'll be moving on with the next department, but thank you once again.
Thank you, Abhilash, for asking the questions, and our professionals. So up next, we have our public policy department. We have Nirusha. So let's give it up for Nirusha. It's okay, no stress. 1 second. All right, so firstly, I want to ask if you can introduce yourself, the field you studied in, and where you work in currently.
Hi, everyone. So I've been in public policy and human rights for about 7 years. Currently, for the past 4 years, I've worked at CMHE, which is a Crown Corporation in housing policy, initially as a senior policy analyst and then as a policy specialist. So working on things like earned indigenous housing, progressive realization of the right to adequate housing, and improving the national housing strategy. In the past month or two, the government's made a decision to transfer housing to infrastructure. So they're creating a new Department of Infrastructure, Housing and Communities. So in the past little bit, I've transferred over to there. My background is in Master's in Public Policy from McGill, and prior to working within government and the Crown Corporation space, I worked for 3 years under a former Canadian Minister of Justice within the nonprofit space, working really closely with advocates on the ground on like foreign affairs issues, political prisoners cases, internationally, and getting really cool opportunities to work with like PMO's office, Prime Minister's office on those cases as well, and being able to work on like panels and conferences and parliamentary testimonies, etc.
Thank you so much for sharing. So firstly, I want to ask, what are some tips and tricks you like to tell the crowd and tell people that are successful in your field? Some tips and tricks.
So I'm going to start out with maybe some skills. Like if you want to be in policy, communication skills are big. So written communication skills, verbal skills are huge. Being able to do like effective research and have a really good like analytical skills, organizational abilities, being able to plan and project manage is really important. And in terms of theory, like just understanding the mechanics of government, internationally, nationally, and locally is really important. And then I would say from like a networking standpoint, you can of course like attend events, like go on Eventbrite, find not just like career CV events, but find like really cool panels that you want to attend from people that are inspiring and go up and talk to them. Like it's been mentioned before, like go have coffee chats with people by reaching out like via LinkedIn. Another thing is like CUTAM's doing a great job with the student association. There's alumni associations as well, and like a whole alumni network. So whether you're, at Concordia or McGill, there are tons of people who graduated from your program who would love to help you, especially because they have that affinity and relationship to you of like being in your shoes. Another thing that can be helpful is someone who's like more introverted like I am. You might not necessarily want to go to 100 events, but joining groups can be really helpful. So when I first graduated from my undergrad, I joined something called Global Shapers, which is under the World Economic Forum. They have a bunch of hubs around the world with like young social change makers making impacts within their communities. I ran the Montreal hub for 2 years, and we got to work on some really cool projects around like refugee integration, women's empowerment, inclusive AI, cybersecurity, etc. So it really, really like gave me networks around the world. Currently, I'm part of a group called Monday Girl. So the idea of Monday Girl is to like kind of take an old boys club and turn it on its head. So it's like opportunities created for women by women. So a ton of like career panels, networking events within that space as well. And then I also want to identify if you see a gap within a space, you can be the person that creates that change and like fills that gap. So when I was at McGill and I did my master's, I realized after graduation, we didn't really have like an alumni network that was built within policy or politics, even though that's kind of absurd because like literally our prime minister is like one to McGill. So I decided to go through a few McGill boards and create McGill's like Alumni Public Policy Society, which has been running for now 3 or 4 years. So essentially giving like career opportunities, mentorship opportunities, like connection to people within the policy and political space within McGill, across Montreal, and then when we have virtual events like around Canada and the world as well. So that's another way where like you get to join something and like be more of yourself without having that one-off like event. And then lastly, like just even volunteering in general, there's a ton of places that want you to come in and volunteer, especially if you're interested in like the more political space. Like your MP wants to go door knocking with you. They beg people to like go out with them and like go on the campaign trail with them. There's lots of like staff who are willing to help you, and there's programs as well. Like the Liberal government has like a federal leadership program. Ontario has like an internship program specifically for the Ontario government. So there's a ton of like opportunities and internships that you can reach out to. And then 2 additional things that I kind of wanted to mention that I personally didn't do, but I have close friends that did. There's something called the Young Diplomats of Canada. So if you apply to that, you can get opportunities to go to like international and multilateral forums and meet like really cool leaders working within social justice issues and different like foreign policy spaces. And then there's something else called the Action Canada Fellowship, which is kind of like doing a master's in policy, but more practical. It's with leaders across Canada, where you get to do like a 10-month fellowship, working on a specific political issue or a policy issue, but in the ground and like with communities themselves.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. And like, it's interesting that you say like, 'cause like a lot of introverted people in these fields, and like, and you seem to still have a lot on your resume, so it's very impressive. So secondly, I want to ask, what motivated you to choose this field in particular?
Yeah, so I think similarly to many of us who've gotten into kind of like a social justice or social change space, it's because of our like family backgrounds and the way that we grew up. So again, like many of you, my parents came here as like either refugees or immigrants. So, you know, issues like healthcare, housing, just like different like social justice issues are more acutely aware to you growing up as a young person, because you're living them, and you know family members and friends and just like communities that are more greatly impacted by them. And for me, I knew I always wanted to go into like a helping field. Originally, I thought, because my undergrad was in psychology, that I'd go into psych and be able to like be in that mental health field. And that's really cool, like micro change and really great like deep work that you can do. But I realized the more I understood myself, the more I was interested in these like bigger policy issues and making like more of a macro change. So really what made me enter the like field of public policy is my like core belief that systems are flawed and it's our responsibility to make them better. And everything's kind of governed by a set of rules or policies, and unless we like go in and identify like what's working and what's in it, that what's not, the change never really happens. And people like us don't necessarily like go into the field. Like, it's not like my family was like, yeah, you should go do that. Like, I definitely pushed back often, like throughout my life, to pursue what I wanted. So yeah, like if I can leave you with anything, sometimes careers don't make sense until you like look back on them. But what's really, really helped me is just identifying like who I am and like what my values are and what kind of impact I want to make on the world, and letting that be the guiding thing towards like any career step or path that I take.
Thank you so much once again for sharing. Public policy is a field that we don't see many talented people in, so it's really nice to see a talented person that in this industry. And once again, thank you for sharing your experiences. Next up, we have the healthcare department, and I'll have my co-president Sugasni. She'll be asking the questions.
Up next, we have the healthcare departments who have dedicated their lives for the well-being of others. So please come to the stage, Abarna, Shanti, Tushika, and Subita. Good evening. So we're going to start by please introduce yourself and the field you're studying in.
So first of all, I'd like to start by saying Happy Women's Day to everyone. My name is Tushika, and I'm a medical technologist. I graduated in the biomedical laboratory technology program at Dawson. And I've worked in the transfusion science department, and recently I've changed to the microbiology department. So these are two departments that are really close to my heart, and yeah.
Hi everyone, my name's Abarna. I studied psychology at McGill. I started an undergrad there, and then I transferred to dentistry at Université de Montréal. I graduated in 2019, and I've been a dentist for 5 years now.
Hi, my name is Subita. So I did kind of the opposite of the Nero did. So I started in political science in McGill. I was born and raised in Sri Lanka, was a refugee in Germany, so kind of always was about the struggle, like always had such a core attachment to back home. So, and then I wanted to be an international criminal court, international lawyer, like I wanted to take the whole thing to criminal justice. Anyways, had big dreams, went to McGill, and then I kind of realized okay, this is where I want to go. And then economically, we were struggling, so I said, okay, let's go into economics. So I did a master's in economics, community economical development, and then as I was doing that, I was interviewing some of the people that went through the genocide, and then I realized how mental health was such an important an aspect, because if you could have a land, you could have justice, you could have money, but if mentally you're not there, what is the point of having all that? So I did the complete opposite of her, so we kind of crossed paths. So listening to her, I was like, nice.
Hey, my name is Shanti. Oh, sorry. My name is Shanti. I did my bachelor's and master's in physiotherapy at McGill, graduated in 2019, worked as a physiotherapist for a couple of years at the MUHC, then didn't like it, worked as a research coordinator at the RI, at the Research Institute, didn't like it, and then I decided to pursue medical studies, so I'm in second year of medical school at McGill.
So for our first question, coming from a healthcare background, what's one tip you would give to a student who would like to change into healthcare field?
So that's a little bit of a loaded question, because when you join healthcare, I feel like you have to put aside your opinions, your values, anything aside. You shouldn't let that influence your opinions. And at the end of the day, you're working towards improving the life of a person. We're increasing people's lifespans in a way. We're assisting people, and we cannot let our own personal biases affect the care that we're going to give. At the end of the day, like let's say you have a bad day or whatever, you have to be able to put that aside and go like, okay, yeah, I'm here, I'm working with this patient or I'm working with someone, a sample. And basically, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to separate yourself a little bit. I know in a lot of cases, there are people who went into nursing, let's say, and they saw that like it's not easy, you know, it's not like when you see some people it's their last goodbye, some people, you know, so you have to be able to have that mental fortitude to withstand that.
I think the people who had spoken in the other departments did previously touched upon this, but I believe it's really important to, if you're considering dentistry, to understand what it entails, because after 5 years of dental school, being a dentist doesn't translate to any other career. So you have to want to do it. So it's best before you actually start to go find yourself a mentor, maybe shadow them for not just one day, because everything looks exciting for a day, but try it for a few weeks, you know, is it still exciting? And understanding what the day-to-day of the profession entails. So for example, if you are someone who's an introvert, well, you feel comfortable having to speak from the second you get into work to the second you leave, and you know you're talking to people, you're talking to your team, you're always on, right? Is that the environment that you're going to feel comfortable with, or would you prefer an environment where you know you get to be more independent and you have more time to think? You know, what else? Being a dentist involves being more physical, more you're working manually. Is that something that you enjoy? Things like that. So if you're not looking to go into dentistry, but any other healthcare profession, just knowing what every day will look like and figuring out if that's something that you can see yourself doing, because it's the day-to-day and the minutes and the hours that count, not really like what your annual salary is or the title or whatever.
I think for my end, it's actually very practical. So one of the things you could try to see if you're fit for, or if you want to do psychotherapy, is to sit and listen to people struggle, right? Like, and we do that on a day-to-day basis with our friends, our family. The most important thing is to understand that it's not about what's the truth or what other people's reality is. It's actually what's the reality of that person. So if that person feels like you know, she's not accepted in certain way, but then you're like, no, of course not. Look at you. You're beautiful. You're accepted. You're so popular. But for her, that's not how she feels. It's to really let her feel what she feels and give her that space and really go deeper to be like, why do you feel that? Where does it come from? And it's usually always rooted to like wounds that we have as a child. It's all like one of my favorite thing is always childhood trauma. Like that's where I always focus on, because I'm like, there's CBT, like there's so many other pathways, and I say if we don't fix the root of the cause, there's no way the work I'm going to do here is going to help you anywhere. So, and usually what we do is that when we are wounded in childhood, when we are loved in a certain way, or we demand love, we never got that, what happens is that when you'll even find someone that loves you, you will hurt them, because that's an unfamiliar place. And then you're like, oh my God, I wanted this so badly. I have it now. Like, I need it. Like, it's only mine. Like, you really try to destroy something that's good. So it's to really sit down and read few books so you kind of understand, like, you know, how to just handle certain things and see if you could take it. Because a lot of mental health professionals, we do burn out because we hear a lot, and emotionally we have to be there but not fully be there. We have to be very disconnected in certain ways and be very much empathetical towards that person, because they can't feel like you're a robot. They need to know that you genuinely care, but you're also someone that's not going to go home and be like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, and you're carrying that on. So yeah, try it out with your friends. Go for a coffee date.
Are you taking patients? We all need one. Only booked.
I guess in terms of medicine, growing up in a Tamil community, medicine is like, it's romanticized. you're a girl, especially go into medicine. But medicine is I find it's a lifelong commitment. Like just in healthcare, you have to, like Tashika mentioned, like everything you do, even the smallest act, make a huge difference on your patient, and you have to be mindful of that. And if you're willing to put that energy and time into it, and it's a never-ending like a profession. Maybe because we talked a little bit like getting into healthcare, maybe I could talk a little bit about changing, because I started in physio. I got in an interview for medical school because that's the only thing I knew about healthcare back then. Didn't get in, and I was very confused. So then I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like life is ending, what am I going to do with my parents? So I decided to go into physio because physio is, I realized that I liked being with people, and then working with people is what really I liked about healthcare. So tried that, and then into 3 years, I already knew that was not for me. I'm not a sportsy, athletic person, and that's what like most of the physio cohort was about. But fortunately and unfortunately, in Quebec, you have to pursue a master's degree in order to be able to practice physiotherapy. So then I was like, okay, am I going to let go of this 3-year degrees and like start again, or am I going to pursue this? Funny enough, I remember meeting Suganya in the metro once, and she was like, biomedical engineering, I just started working there, it's so cool. And I'm like, maybe I should do that. And you're so confused on like what else is there for you. And then again, I did the wrong step, and I did my master's knowing that I'm not going to like this, and then worked for 2 years, and then tried all the different facets of physiotherapy, so research, private and public, and then ended up in medicine, because that's what I realized that like the medical part of healthcare is what I thrived in. Also, like you don't need to have like a healthcare background to be in medicine. Few of my colleagues are lawyers, are from criminology background, art majors. Like I have a friend she's a dancer. She went back to CEGEP to do her prereq to come back to medicine. So medicine is not just for like a set of people who grew up with like a type of personality. It's open to everyone. And I think like I remember during COVID, I saw this TikTok is like, oh, no matter what, in X amount of years, you're going to be 30. Are you going to be 30 doing something you don't like? Or are you going to be 30 doing something you like? So TikTok inspired me, and here I am.
Thank you. So for the second question, as today is International Women's Day, did you overcome any challenges in your healthcare field? If so, what was it?
So one of the amazing things about being a medical technologist is that 80% of the people in the field are women. It is a highly female-oriented career, but there are some issues that, like not just as a Tamil person, but as a POC, you do deal with microaggressions. Although it is a female-oriented career, there's still certain mentalities that people carry with them, and it kind of bleeds into the newer generation of people. But the silver lining is that I feel like our generation, like let's say like millennials and younger, they're able to create, well, at least I try to, and create an environment where people feel like they're listened to, people can grow, people could learn new things, and not withholding any information from them. And as for the little microaggressions about just being a person of color, there are so many resources available nowadays that if you do feel targeted because of who you are, the system is more how do you say this, like more adaptive to your problems. So far I'm really fortunate that I haven't really been through any issues, but other people's opinions might be different.
I went to Université de Montréal, and so I also went to McGill before Université de Montréal, and up until I had been at Université de Montréal, I never really realized that I was a person of color. At UDM, it's very obvious because not a lot of people go there. So it's not because people are not open-minded and they don't want to get to know you, but they just don't know how to deal with you. They don't understand like who you are or why you think a certain way, etc. And so when I was in my clinical years at UDM, this is really awkward. I wanted to give a very optimistic answer, and I don't know why I'm going down this road right now. Anyway, there's a nice ending to this. So at UDM, because I was like one of the few colored people there, when I started my clinical years, I noticed that it was really hard to connect with the clinicians. So the education at UDM is very one-on-one, so there's a lot of dentists, and you're like working with them, but they're all Quebecer, and with the other students, they're very buddy-buddy, they all have the same jokes, the same lingo, and here I am, an Anglophone, and a Sri Lankan woman. So I found that really hard to connect, and so it made it so that like my training was a bit off. That was at the very beginning. Like I noticed this within my first, and I spoke to. Remember, I said find yourself a mentor. There was a woman and there was a girl a few years ahead of me who, like, I was speaking to, and I expressed my situation, and she said, just show up extra prepared. If you show up really prepared, you know exactly what you're doing, everything will work out. And it's true. When you're really prepared, people notice and they will give you a chance, right? It's not because people don't want to give you a chance. They're just a little bit hesitant. So just prove yourself, all right? Yeah, that's the challenge. But it's nice that you guys are organizing events like this because there aren't, like, it's nice to see other women doing what you would like to do. And then you realize, oh, it's possible. Whereas when you're like one of the first people doing it, it's much more difficult.
So in my case, it was pretty much like because when we do therapy, it's one-on-one. So you're with that person alone, and you have no idea who they are. Obviously, they come in, and it's to just sit there and be like, okay, I learned all these theories, I learned all this, like reasons why people behave the way they behave, they feel what they feel. But then when you're in front of a human, all that is out the window. It's really to feel what's going on. Like some of them, they have such a hard time even talking. Like one of my clients, to give an example, she couldn't get it out. Like it was just blocked. So I told her, okay, I want you to write a letter to your mom, and I want you to tell her how it hurt you when she did this to you. And then we started reading that. I made her write a letter to her dad, her brother. So I went through her family history by writing letters to them, and that's how I got to know her. So you need to find ways to connect to your client. You need to find ways to understand what this human is going through and how to get to them and how to break that shell so that they could come out of it again and really like share that parts with the rest of the world. Now she comes in and she's like, la la la, I did this, I did that, and I'm like, good for you, girl. So it's really like I saw the whole like a butterfly changing, and it's honestly, I think that's the best part in my career. It's to sit back and then see that evolution happening and see people flourish and you change as a person. If I was to look at myself like 5-6 years ago, I'm like, what on earth was I? So it honestly grounds you. You forgive, you understand, so I think honestly one of the things I think everybody said, don't be afraid to get lost. Like this life is all about getting lost, finding yourself, hitting roadblocks, and whenever life puts you down, just tell yourself it's trying to teach you something. It's really trying to break something in you for you to get that out of you. So don't take it as like, oh my God, my life is falling apart. Be like, okay, what is this? Why am I going through this? How can I come out of it? And that's how you build your confidence. It's not standing in the mirror and be like, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. It's to know that something was to break you and you came out of it, and you came out of it with pure intention and good-hearted. So yeah, I think that was the part. It's to know you're left alone at some point with the client, and I'm like, okay, now what do I do? So I guess practice makes it perfect, and you really got to be passionate about this career. Thank you.
I guess specifically to being Tamil women, I got into medicine like at 26. And when I went to my parents, of course, parents called each other, you know, like aunties and uncles. And then one of the aunties actually asked my mom, like, oh, but what is she going to do? Is she going to get married? Like, when is she going to have kids? You know, like medicine is a minimum it starts at 6 to 7 years of like commitment, just schooling. And I was just like, my goodness, like, we still think like that, and that's the reality. Even though you're achieved, you know, instead of being like so positive about Tamil young women like pursuing education, in the back of their mind, this typical traditional role is still there, and they're still talking about it. So you should just let that go away. In terms of like classrooms and hospital settings, I feel like, especially maybe at McGill, most of my classmates come from like generations of doctors or a wealthy background. They live in Westmount and like all that, you know, and you come from a place where you don't have much network, people to connect with, and everything is new to you. And that was very much a struggle for me, even in physio, I found. And I felt like from A to B, if they had to take one step, I had to make like 10 steps to get there. And it's okay. That's part of the journey. That's part of being a first generation like Canadian here. And you're paving the way for the next generation. So I'm happy that I'm part of this. But yeah, I think it's like there's no such thing as being Tamil women. I think being a woman is not easy in healthcare, but it's doable, and we're all here. So we're standing proof. But yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all your challenges, obstacles that you faced, whether it was at work or at school. I'm sure a lot of people here were students, so we are facing challenges, whether we are females or we are Tamil. So all what you shared is for sure an inspiration for whoever is watching you or listening to you right now. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Up next, we're going to have our human resource person, and I'm going to call Niruja, my social media coordinator, take the lead.
Up next, we have Priya for Human Resources. As you guys know how important it is having the perfect resume and cover letter to land the job you want, HR is also in charge of making policies that ensure consistency by outlining the values and behavior standards of a company. Human Resources gives structure to our corporate world, from employment to termination and employee rights, unions, and to many more. And thank you again for joining us today. Can you please introduce yourself and the field that you've completed your studies in and the one that you're working in right now?
Hi, guys. So my name is Priya. I'm a human resource manager at an animation studio. Before this, I studied in human relations here at Concordia, and I did a business elective group at John Molson, so that kind of aided in my business studies for HR. Sorry, what was the question?
Introduce yourself and the field that you're in. And
so we're good.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Perfect. So the second question, what are the 3 top tips and tricks you would give students to land an internship or a job? And how should they differentiate their CV?
So I'll split that up into 2 questions. First off, 3 top tricks and tips. First off, make it conversational. I see it too many times where a candidate will come. I'm going to wait. A candidate will come and they'll memorize their CV and then just spit it back to me. It gets boring and the recruiter will stop listening is the reality of it. So try to be conversational, summarize it, pick up the points that you think are important, whether that be the latest experience you've had or the recent schooling you did. If you don't have any experience, that's okay. Tell us about the job, the part-time job that you're doing or the education that you did that's relevant or not relevant and how you can make it relevant. Don't sell yourself short just because you don't have experience. Every form of experience counts as something. The other thing I would say is don't try to flip everything, kind of in that same conversational thing. Don't try to flip it onto the recruiter. I know we dance around the conversation of what is your salary expectation, and that's normal. But if they ask you, like, what do you want to do? Don't say whatever you need me to do. You want to do a job. They want to see where you fit. That's their whole point. So they're not trying to cut you out of the interview as quickly as you can. My second tip, everyone's mentioned this, network. That's the main thing. There's a whole hidden job market. Jobs don't get posted the way they used to be, and not everything reaches the market. So the more connections you make and the more people you get to know, the more you'll get job opportunities thrown your way. So whether it be attending something like this or whether it's attending something in your department, take the time to do that, and you never know. Those opportunities could lead somewhere. And finally, the last one I would say, I genuinely forgot what my third point is. Give me a second. Practice. So practice and be prepared, whether that be, just checking out your equipment, and don't have the recruiter wait there while you're testing your microphone on an interview, guys. Like, I see that too many times as well. So test out your equipment, practice in front of a mirror, practice with a friend, see how you come off. Maybe you're coming off overconfident. Maybe you're coming off really, really rambly. Or maybe you're not even sounding genuine in what you want to be doing. So take the time to prepare and learn what it is what you want, and then show that in an interview. Also, body language, especially on video calls, pay attention to all of that. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Priya. And also, when you guys get the chance, Priya will be here to help with CVs and resumes. So feel free to visit her. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you once again, Priya. Priya is also our former CUTAM president. That's nice to have her back. So firstly, I would like to thank each and every one of you, especially our panelists, our professionals, for coming tonight, and honestly, truly being an inspiration for the younger generation, and especially for women in the working industry. So once again, I would like to give a round of applause to our professionals. Secondly, I would like to thank our executive members of CUTAM, Concordia University's Tamil Association Mandram, for putting this event together. So you can have a round of applause for them, for us. And once again, I want to thank Montamil for covering this event live on YouTube, and also covering this entire event. So I would like to thank Montamil. I would like to thank Poulet Rouge for our food sponsor, free food, so everyone likes that. And lastly, I would like to thank Guru for our energy drink sponsor. So now I would like to one by one ask each department to come up so we can have a picture. So first I would like to ask the master's department to come up on stage. Okay. If we could have our executive members to also come up on stage, thank you, for a picture.